What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Now, I was just about ready to pack up, to load up Donnie with everything because I did a bit of filming here. But before I left, there's still one more thing in the showroom that I wanted to show you. Now, you've seen on the channel my ST, which is a 200 and costs about 3,000 and a bit euros. You've seen the SR, the Symphony SR, which is 2,500 euros, a 125. But there is another 125. It's not from Sim. It's from the Daytona brand. And it's 2,200 euros. That's actually cheaper than most 50cc scooters. How is it that cheap? And is it any good? Let's take a look at the cheapest 125cc scooter currently out on the market. So, first things first. Let's put the ignition on. Ignition is on. We have a small windscreen up front. We have a halogen high and low beam. This, in fact, is the only halogen bulb on the entire scooter. Everything else from now on is LED. We have some LED daytime running lights. We have LED turn signal indicators. We have a normal fork. Front brake disc, no ABS on this one, with a dual piston caliper. And I haven't looked at the specs, but I think it's about a 220. Let me just check. It's a 220 millimeter front brake disc on a 16-inch wheel. It's a 90 section front wheel. Moving to the dash. Now, don't expect anything fancy. Remember, this is cheaper than a 50cc scooter. So we have some pretty cheap grips. The dash, well, it looks straight out of the 80s, honestly. It just looks straight out of the 80s. And the buttons don't look high quality, but they're actually quite nice to the touch. I mean, the button clicking is really nice and satisfying. We have, in the dash, we have a clock, we have a high beam light, indicator light, and a check engine light. And also speedometer and fuel gauge. The seat is nice and soft, and this material, it does feel cheap, but it's very grippy. It's strange. I've never seen this type of material on a seat, on a motorcycle or scooter seat. We have a flat floor, a luggage hook. Let's look under the seat. Now, there is space. It's pretty wide. So it's pretty large, but it's not deep. So I'm guessing maybe just an open face helmet, a small open face helmet. Also under the seat, we have the fuel tank. It's a 6-liter fuel tank, so that should be enough. And a luggage rack. You can mount a top case on this one, or you can put a box or whatever you want. We do get a full complement of stands, so a center stand and a side stand. And also we get a kickstart. So in case we run out of battery, we can kickstart the thing to life. Moving to the other side, we have an air-cooled 125cc engine that produces, and get ready for this, 7 horsepower and 7.2 newton meters of torque. Yeah, you're not gonna win any races with it. But the rear tire is a 14-inch, and we do have a rear brake disc. I mean, there are still scooters that cost about 3,000 euros that come with a drum rear brake. I'm looking at you, Piaggio Liberty. And yet this one comes with a let's see, with a dual piston caliper and a 190 millimeter rear brake disc. And also in the back we have LED turn indicators, LED rear light and brake light. So for the moment this is the cheapest 125 you can buy out on the market. And it doesn't look bad. In terms of design, it doesn't look bad. I mean, if you get up close to it, you can feel the plastics are pretty cheap, but they're screwed together really strong, so they don't rattle. You would expect them to rattle, you would expect them to make some weird noises, but they don't rattle. And that's pretty strange. When you hear the price, you're not expecting much, and I wasn't expecting much, but it's actually not that bad. So let's take it for a quick spin around the yard, because this is looking to be something quite interesting. Alrighty, so the Daytona Versus 125. Fuel injected, by the way. So it may be the cheapest, but it's still fuel injected. Let's see what's what. Straight up, you can feel that there's not quite the power of a regular 125. But then again, it's definitely not gutless as a 50cc. It's somewhere in between, and as the papers would say, because a 50cc is about 3 horsepower, a 125 is about 11 and 12, this at 7 sits somewhere in the middle. So I'm expecting a top speed of about 80 or 90 kilometers an hour. But compared to 50cc's, the engine is a lot more peppy, and I am going to compare it to 50cc's, and that is because 50cc's costs about as much as this one does. There's no point in comparing this to a 125, because it will lose to basically any 125 you can think of. But when you consider the price, say you have only 2,000 and a bit euros, you're looking at just 50cc's. And while many of Sim's 50cc scooters feel a lot more premium in terms of plastic, in terms of dash layout, they feel a lot nicer, a lot more premium. That's just looks. When you open the throttle, nothing happens with them. You just hear the engine screaming, and basically you're not accelerating at all. But here, yeah, it's not the power of a regular 125, that's for sure, but it's also way faster than a 50cc. You still have to rev the engine quite hard to get it going, but it does get going. That's the thing. And the brakes, oh boy, whoa, I was not expecting brakes so strong. Let's take it on the other side of the yard and get it up to speed and really test the brakes. In terms of suspension, yeah, it's rough. It's hard. There's very little cushioning. But again, what you expect for this price? It works. It's a suspension that works. The seat is comfortable. Now let's open it up. 40, 50, and brakes. Oh boy. The brakes are strong. There's not any lever feel whatsoever, but they're strong. They're good brakes. They get you stopped. So for the money, I keep coming back to the money, because if you compare it to something like an ST, a 125 liquid cooled, yeah, this is, you would say this is shit. But remember, it's 700 euros cheaper, and if you put it into percentages, the difference is incredible. It's almost 60% of the price of a regular 125, a Symphony ST 125. Hell, the Symphony ST 50cc is 400 euros more expensive than this one. And would I take a 50cc Symphony ST over this one? Honestly, no. Yeah, sure, you don't have the power of a regular 125, but this is enough power. This is power you can keep up with traffic. Unlike 50cc's, with this one you can actually keep up with traffic. Yeah, you're still gonna ride wide open throttle everywhere, but you can keep up with traffic, and that's a really nice feeling when you're out through traffic through the city and you don't feel like cars are pushing you from behind. It actually does feel quite nice. And the engine makes a pretty nice noise. It's a pretty... it sounds a deep noise. It doesn't sound zingy like old school 125s. It sounds, it has a deep noise to it, a deep bellow. And yeah, you have to rev it, but it doesn't feel bad at high RPMs. The engine breathes nicely. The transmission is nice and smooth. The engine breathes and it feels nice when you rev it. Quite impressive. So if your budget is extremely tight, and I mean extremely tight, and you're looking at this, you're looking between this and a 125. Oh, sorry. And you're looking at something between this and a cheap 50cc. Just go for this. If you can ride a 125, do it. Just take this one. You're gonna be way more happier with it than you are with a 50cc. So yeah, the cheapest one, it feels cheap, it looks cheap, but it doesn't look bad, and it rides way better than it has any right to do so. So thanks everyone for watching. And if you were curious, for those 2 or 3 people that were interested in the Daytona Versus 125, I hope this answers your questions. If you have any more questions, please drop them down in the comments below and I'll try to answer them. But until next time, take care out there everyone, and ride safe. Goodbye.